Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, a podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Danica, and today we are going to be discussing Love is Blind, y'all. We're doing it. Okay, so we are going to do some hot goss on this, only because I haven't done any on The Bachelor, which you probably got prior to this. So I'm going to do some here, it's because you didn't get any there. But I want to probably do just a couple of them, and then I'll leave some of the other ones to Married at First Sight. But before we do, again, just as a reminder, delayed due to being A, under the weather, B, having to go to the hospital yesterday. Again, recording this on Sunday, right after The Bachelor, actually. So definitely under the weather with that. So the podcast might be behind due to either A, not getting the notes done in time, or B, having to record for next take because we're behind on there as well right now. So there's a lot of different things kind of happening, but Married at First Sight might be late. You might get it on time. We'll see how it goes. If you do get it behind, like later, it'll probably be, I'm going to say Tuesday, but it might be Wednesday again. We'll see how it goes. Actually, I think you got Married at First Sight last week later than Wednesday. So let's get to some of the hot goss. So apparently, due to the, okay, let's start over here. This is a trigger warning. It's a trigger warning for death/suicide. This is pertaining to Garrison Brown, which was talked about in a previous episode. So definitely look down at the timestamps before listening to this. I'll put the timestamps in at the bottom. So apparently, due to the police report so far, it does seem that Janelle was definitely concerned about Garrison. So Garrison's final text message reportedly sparked some concern for her. I'm assuming we do not have that. I hope we don't have that. That is something we do not need to be privy to, at least now or maybe ever. According to the police report obtained by Us Weekly, this is where I'm reading this, on Wednesday, March 6th, the sister wife Star told law enforcement that her late son sent a message to a group chat that included people who work with the Brown family. That's interesting. Actually, y'all, we do have the text message. So, quote, "I want to hate you for sharing the good times, but I can't. I miss these days." This is what it's reported that he wrote. While Janelle was not included in the chat, she reportedly learned about his response and decided to reach out to him. Janelle informed the police that she and Garrison, which I think we always knew his full name is Robert Garrison Brown, had a brief conversation before he stopped responding to her. She then asked her other children if anyone could check on Garrison, and her son, Gabriel, offered to see how his brother was doing. Gabriel reportedly entered Garrison's home in Flagstaff, Arizona, and called the police department upon discovering his body. So it was confirmed, as we know, that he was, it was a self-inflicted gunshot. And according to the report, which this upsets me a little bit, Garrison's roommates heard a noise on Monday evening, but did not check on him because they did not think it was a gunshot wound. So you're trying to tell me that you hear something that potentially sounds like a gunshot, not that it would have done anything. I'm assuming wherever he decided to do this, it was meant to be fatal. But you're trying to tell me that you are in the home with him, you hear something, and you don't at the very least check on him. So that his younger brother, sorry guys, I'm getting a little emotional here. So that his younger brother isn't the one who finds him like that. I'm not wishing anyone to find anyone like that, honestly. But I would rather it be someone who's not my family or someone who is not family to find someone like that. Man, I don't understand that. But of course, how would anyone ever think someone would actually do this? Maybe they missed the signs, if there even were any. I don't know. Um, man, man. But that's basically that for that. Let's move on to the second and final piece. If you're interested, if you miss Chris Harrison, guess what, y'all? He is returning to TV and he's going to have a talk show and a dating series. Oh, okay. So this says that Chris Harrison is heading back to television with his wife, Lauren Zima. He said, quote, incredibly excited to announce that Lauren Zima and I are coming to you with the next chapter in our television careers. This was on his Instagram on Wednesday, March 6th, alongside a video of Dr. Phil McGraw. Why? Welcoming him and Zima, who's 36, to his network, Merit Street Media. Whoa. Harrison, married his wife back in November 2023. He continued, we have joined Merit Street Media, a new television network being launched by the one and only Dr. Phil, because he's going to need something to do after not having his talk show anymore. The longtime TV host gushed that there are many reasons their new endeavor is the perfect fit, adding, I can't wait to see you all again very soon. And you know what? I know Chris Harrison got definitely controversial, which I agree with. He probably made the best move by not continuing on. But if anyone has been watching The Bachelor or Bachelorette since the very beginning, which I have for the most part, I mean, I missed maybe a few years in between there, but I've been watching the show since the beginning. And I've been seeing Chris Harrison since the beginning. I'm really excited to see this for him. I hope to see him. Even if it is just a tune in once in a while type of thing, it'd be kind of cool. So, yeah, happy for him. So, Chris will be making his TV comeback by co-hosting a morning show with his wife for Dr. Phil's network, which launches on Tuesday, April 2nd. The series will be filmed in Dallas, Texas at Merit Street Media Studios. Harrison actually lives in Texas with his wife, so that's convenient. But they will also host and create a new dating show for the network as part of a bigger deal. Additionally, Harrison will be featured on Dr. Phil's primetime series. Anyway, it has dating elements in it, with this is so different and so novel. He says, and he said this on Entertainment Tonight, it is flipping the script in a way that I think people are going to become addicted to it in a week. It's unbelievable. I guess we'll see. And he says, obviously after being on The Bachelor for a part of The Bachelor for 20 years, that creating a new dating show is a no-brainer. And also that, he is really honestly to the core beloved. He made a lapse in judgment, and I'm hoping he learned from it. Huge lapse in judgment, and I hope he's learned from it. And his name being attached to a show in general, and at that a dating show, He's golden. It could go really well, or it could go really bad, but we'll see. But that is basically that. Let's move on to Love is Blind. Season 6, episode 12. Meet me at the altar. So we are leaving back right where we left off with Chelsea and Jimmy trying to decide, or I guess Chelsea deciding whether or not she wants to marry Jimmy. Y'all, when me and Jaron talked about this and we were like, oh, come on, this is fraud, and this is, of course, she's saying yes, which she did. We just didn't expect the rest of this. So, yeah, she says, yeah, I would definitely marry you. You know, so let's move on from that. But then he says, I do not want to go to the altar. Oh, shit. He's like, I can't. Yeah. And it seems to be, or at least she thinks it is, because she said that the strongest couple was Amy and Johnny. Bullshit. How this episode turns out, that is correct. Because they are the only one. But yeah, it's just, what the fuck? But he says that it's a little bit more than that. It's everything. Which then, why did we continue on, right? Honestly. But she says, like, why did you propose? You know, we picked out our song. Why now? And he's like, he loves her. He thinks the world of her. He was optimistic. And she says, I've been walking on eggshells, and not telling you what I feel, which I feel like it should be the other way around. I feel like he should be walking on eggshells. Because you blow up over every little fucking thing, girl. What the hell? Anyway, he, I can't quite read what I said there, but, so he lists the things, he lists the different things, which I think we should know by now, all the freaking fights that they've had, and how, like, he's told her and all of this, but he drops a bomb, apparently, and Chelsea apparently, okay, so he brings up the fact that, like, she aired the fact that he had sex with one of his friends, right? And he's like, it's funny because you actually have a friendship with your ex, and the very first person you called when we came back was your ex. I'm sorry, what? Ain't that the shit? Ain't that the pot calling the kettle black? Are you kidding me? Wow. That is something. Oh my God. And Chelsea, which is true in a sense, Chelsea says, you know, how, like, he kind of rejected her when it came to sex and not wanting to have sex and all this, and how she was, like, initiating too much or some shit, which I've never heard that nonsense in my entire life. But he did say that. And he gaslights her a little bit here and says, when did I say that I didn't want to have sex with you? Can we take you back to the time where you called her clingy and then said, well, since we're on the topic, like, are you serious? On the fact that you did say it, because you did say it. Anyway. But we kind of just keep going back and forth again to talking about the girl that he had sex with. And Jimmy's like, yeah, keep throwing it in my face. Keep throwing it in my face that he fucked somebody when he wasn't with you. Like, what the hell? Anyway. But she gets up and she walks away and, you know, she's crying or whatever. And, y'all, this is when she probably got the therapy. Anyway. So, we definitely got that right. I think both me and Sharon got that right. That they were definitely gonna not get married and that Jimmy was gonna say no. We just didn't expect it to happen before the wedding. That was a twist. But now we're left down to the two. We got the two left. Let's get into it. So we're at the bachelor and bachelorette parties, and we got some of groom to be sweaters going on here, and they said that the ladies got like their shake their ass pants on, and the ladies are definitely doing that. And I think 80 at one point is actually doing a striptease to Clayton. That is his name though, but Clay's face. I can't say Clayton and not think about guinea pigs, so we're gonna say Clay. 80 and Amy do talk about the fact that Amy and Johnny have not had sex because of the whole birth control situation. 80 doesn't buy it. She thinks they're fucking. But anyways, I don't think they are. If they didn't figure out the birth control situation, they're not. Because Johnny. 80 says, well, I, for myself, would not buy the car without first test driving it. Amen to that. Just make sure that it moves well and it can get you from point A to point C. Anyway. Clay. Oh, sorry. Before we get to that. Amy says that she is 90% yes. So, but they're golden, personally. Clay says, things have been good. The sex is good. Of course, the first fucking thing you have to say. God, sounds like my ex. Yeah, he just says, things are great, but he can tell that AD really loves him. And I point this out because I'm not hearing him say he loves her. Right? And, he wants to be the best father, the best husband for, her, but, and he says that she deserves the best. And Clay tells Johnny that I can see myself marrying AD, but he also looks kind of terrified as he's kind of saying this. So honestly, at this point, I still wasn't sure about what was going to happen with AD and Clay. I thought maybe he would be dumb enough and say yes, even if he wasn't 100% ready, because they were never going to last anyways, in my honest opinion. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen here, but I could see the cracks in him. But let's get to AD and Clay's wedding. That's what's first. And where we're going to spend the most time. So AD is the first of 7 siblings that are getting married tonight, or today, or hopefully. Naves, which is Clay's brother, is hot. Hot. Okay. The moms have apparently met each other, and that is exactly who her mom wants AD to have as a mother-in-law. AD feels Clay would be a great dad, a great daddy. I have to stress that, be a great daddy. The question is, what kind of daddy are we talking about? Because I think you might got that one down. Clay's dad comes, and y'all, I don't get it. But anyway, let's get to it. So he tells him how, when Clay went into track and he would run with him, like dad would run with him, just one day, just beat him. You always did better. But he tells him, my grandma told me when I got married, take care of your wife and your kids. Well, I didn't need to be told to take care of my kids because I sure as hell didn't take care of my wife. That came naturally. Listen, what Dad was trying to say here, because he wasn't really fucking saying it, he was running around in circles. What Dad's trying to say here, you're a better man than I am. You're a better man than I am. He just couldn't fucking say it. He couldn't fucking say, I'm a shit person because I was cheating on your mom from day one. Okay? He couldn't fucking say that and say, like, you could do differently than I am because I already see you're a better man than I am. You know that the difference that actually would have made for Clay, whether or not it would have changed the decision for him, is probably wouldn't have, but that is a start on his journey to healing. If he could have sat there in front of his face and actually said, "You're a better man than I am," he couldn't fucking say it. And then to also then say, "Grandma told me that, take care of your wife, take care of your kids." Well, kids came naturally, but taking care of your wife didn't. This man has a dog, and I don't understand why Clay puts him on this pedestal. His childhood trauma comes from the man he puts on a pedestal. I want better for Clay, honestly, where that's concerned. Because I think Clay, I really do think deep down, I know initially I had my issues with Clay, and I still do, but I think the difference is of what, in this moment, in this episode, my respect grew for him because he was able to see, I am not ready. I need to work on me first before I put you through that. You shouldn't have to fix me. I should be fixing me. I had a lot of respect here for him because, yeah, he has a lot of work to do. And the problem is the work that he needs to do stems from I think honestly, deep down, he has hatred towards his father and he needs to work on that. He really does. And take care of your kids. Honestly, let me rewind on that. Take care of your kids is not taking one of your kids on one of your trips to go cheat on your wife, his mother. Sick. This man is sick. Anyways. AD looks absolutely gorgeous in her dress. But I still hate the veil. Y'all, I still hate the veil. But now we got the bridesmaids coming. And then we see her coming. She's walking by herself. He tells her she looks beautiful when she gets there after kind of saying, "Holy shit." But now let's get to the good part. Because that's why we're here. I don't care about anything else. We're here for the good part. We want to know, is love truly blind? Well, Amber, who is that? AD, do you take Clay to be your husband? And she says, I do. She does take him to be her husband. All right, now Clay, it's your turn. Do you take AD to be your wife? And he says to her, listen, this process has been great. And AD, I love you, but I don't think it's responsible of me to say I do. But I want you to know I rock with you. But I need to do the work. You deserve the best. And I can't give that to you right now. This was amazing. I mean, I know this was really hard for her, but this was amazing. Clay, the fact that he was able to be selfless in this moment and say, I cannot be your husband because I'm not ready. I have so much work I need to do. I'm not ready. Was absolutely incredible. It was absolutely incredible. Because the thing is, and I believe in her vows, she actually said to him, I want to be the one to kind of push you in the right direction. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to guide him. You should be guiding each other. And if he is unable to guide you alongside you guiding him, then this is going to fall apart. He did her such a service. And you know what? He got brownie points. He says, I'm sorry, AD. And AD says, what the fuck, Clay? And he says, why does the timeline matter though? Well, you are on Love is Blind, which the timeline says in 4 weeks after engagement, you get married. Like that's how it usually goes. But yeah, I think he missed that part, honestly. But she walks away and she says, wasted my fucking time. Mom tells him, I want to be clear. His mom says, I want to be clear. If it's not true in your heart, don't do it. Her peeps tell her, of course you're right. They're wrong and whatever. You have, like, saying about men in her life. You haven't found your one yet. Clay fucked up, and that's that. Clay goes to talk to AD, and I am not trying to, hurt you, oh, sorry, I'm not saying no to you, I'm saying no to marriage. But she did tell him, whatever your choice is, at the end of the day is your choice. But if you say no, we're not continuing on with this. And I'll have a spoiler at the end of this. Maybe a spoiler, I don't know. Potentially a spoiler, I'll put a timestamp. But meanwhile, like, while he's kind of talking to her, we see a conversation between his mom and his dad. And she tells him, you gotta apologize. You gotta apologize so he can choose, kind of where he goes from here. He can choose healing. Because she said I forgave you. I forgave you a long time ago. But there are things that I found out during this process that I didn't know. The fact that he went on trips with his dad, that obviously set me back. You need to apologize. You want to talk about being a man? You need to own your shit in this, basically. And do right by your son, because he's hurting. He is taking on things that he should not have to have taken on. And really and truly, that's because of you, sir. Oh, this is what I want her to say, but anyways. You can kind of tell that his dad is the kind of father who can't just come out and say, I'm sorry. I fucked up. I shouldn't have made the choices I made. I shouldn't have made them. I shouldn't have put you in those situations of having to witness his father having sex with somebody else, whether obviously not physically witnessing it, but could have hurt things. Know that that's not something that should have been happening. Going to these random women who are meeting him and whatever, and then having to hide that from his mom, choosing to hide that from his mom as to not wreck their family. Because can you imagine if he told his mom and what happened ends up happening anyways? He's going to blame himself for that. He would never have come out of this unscathed either way. And that is a horrible thing for someone to have to not only carry with them as a child, but then carry with them into adulthood. His father is garbage. I'm sorry. Just garbage. If you're going to cheat, listen. I mean, I don't ever want this, but if my partner decides we have kids and he decides he wants to be an asshole and cheat on me, do it. Cheat on me. But do not rope my children into your bullshit. Because that's one thing that I'm not going to fucking tolerate at any point. Doesn't matter. Don't rope my kids into your bullshit. That's why, to me, his father is garbage. Anyway, AD feels he used her to figure himself out. He did. AD, he did. And guess what? You let him. Like, I know she's hurting, but you let him use you to fix it. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't love her, doesn't have feelings for her, but he was definitely using her to fix himself. And you let him do it. You literally said, you see red flags, you paint your nails the same color to match. Don't sit here and then pretend like you're shocked that he said no to you. Come on. You were better off being with fucking Matthew. He better be at this fucking reunion. Anyways, he says, should I go? But he does get up to leave. And it was in this moment that I felt he does care for her at the very least. Maybe he does love her. I don't know. But he definitely cares for her at the very least. Because the look in his face in this moment was like, am I making the right decision by letting her go right now? Because I don't know how this is going to turn out. If I'm going to see her again, I don't know. But it was in this moment that I felt the pain in him of potentially never seeing her again. Because he turns back around and he says, I don't want to go. And weirdly enough, I believed him. I believed him in this moment. Oh, so weird, but yeah, I believed him. And yeah, he says, I don't want to go. But Eddie says, she says, goodbye, Clay, I think is what she says to him. And he does walk away eventually. He does leave. And Eddie says, I choose these men, these broken men, and it never works out for me. She says, I love him. I really do. And she says, I am not going to force him to fucking pick me. No, that's true. You're definitely not doing that, but you've just said the quiet part out loud for which you said you were therapy for. You keep picking these broken men who are not ready for this. And you act surprised when they tell you that they're not. There is a pattern and you, even though you thought you didn't, you are still going to the same pattern with Clay. That's basically it. I think after Amy and Johnny's wedding, we do see her saying that she is not going to date him after this. Well, here's where the spoiler comes in before we go into Johnny and Amy's. So I would skip ahead maybe a minute. I'll try to remember to put the timestamp in for this though. So definitely check the show notes to see if it's there. So spoiler starting now. AD at the very least, AD and Clay at the very least, are in each other's lives. Whether they are together or they're not is to be determined, but they are definitely still in each other's lives. They just did Thanksgiving together. So just a few months ago, they were doing Thanksgiving together. So that and I'm not just saying AD and Clay, AD, Clay, and their families. So at the very least, they are still in each other's lives. But we don't know exactly what that is. I'm going to guess they might still be together. Maybe he's done the work and they're together now. I don't know. But spoiler over. But let's move on to the next wedding, which just goes by very quickly, guys. I have not much to say because this goes the way we all thought it would. So Amy and Johnny's wedding day is now here. Johnny's dad is the cutest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. And Amy looks incredible in her dress. Dad makes this beautiful speech about I can't remember exactly what the speech was about now, but it was a beautiful speech to her. And then he took him out of it. He said, so we ready to rumble? Let's do this thing. Y'all, I got emotional at this because again, my brother is autistic. So, and I mean, my relationship with my brother is very different than I think the relationship with Amy and hers. But, so I felt it from that sense. But I got so emotional when I saw that not only was her dad walking her down, but so was her brother. I started crying. The sweetest thing I think I've ever seen. So yeah, they're walking down the aisle and, they get to to Johnny. We're doing the beginning parts of this wedding, but though, let's just get to it, right? Let's decide if love is truly blind. Will you take Johnny to be your husband? And she says, I do. And then we turn it back around on Johnny and say, will you take Amy to be your wife? And he says, I do. Yo, I was so happy. Of course, this was the way it was supposed to go. This is the only couple we were going to get. And this time I care. I didn't care last time, but this time I really care. And there's not much more I can say. They're happy. They looked happy. They looked great. I guess we'll see how things are at the reunion, but that's basically it for Love is Blind, y'all. There's not much because this was a shorter episode. Well, it wasn't a shorter episode, but shorter in the sense of what I recap, but the predictions. Let's go through the 5 couples that we had at the beginning of this. We had Amy and Johnny. Both me and Sharon said yes, they were getting married. We both said that they were both going to say yes. So we got that right. We had AD and Clay. I said no. I believe Sharon said no as well. The difference is we both got that right, that they didn't. But the difference is I said that Clay was going to be the one to say no. Or Sharon said that she thought AD was going to say no. She got that wrong. We then also had Jeremy and Laura. I said yes to them. I can't remember what Sharon's answer was to that. We'll have to ask her, but I got that wrong. Who else did we have? We had Jimmy and Chelsea. We both said no to that. And initially we said, when it came to the wedding, we said that Jimmy was going to say no. We both got that right. And then we had Brittany and Kenneth, and I think she said that she thought they would go the distance. I think I said I thought they would only if they could deal with the racial differences or dealing with being in an interracial relationship, at least on his part. I got that piece wrong, so I guess I got the whole thing technically on that too, but that's it. Those are our couples. That was our wedding episode. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good wedding episode, honestly. It was very, it was compelling with AD and Clay because of how this turned out and how it was handled. So it's very compelling, but that's it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2@hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Week Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.